What about appointments?
That's part of the,
Social.
no, Mr. Chair, that's part of the admin.
So admin yun.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So halimbawa, merong gusto makipag-usap ni Congressman Adjong kay Sap Bongo, si Congressman Adjong will call you and schedule.
I believe hindi niya ako tatawagan kasi hindi niya ako kilala, Mr. Chair.
But where does a member of Congress who would like to see Sap Bongo request an appointment?
Actually, si Sap Bongo kasi, Mr. Chair, is madaling malapitan. So, lahat ata ng congressman, I believe, direct na nagtitext sa kanya and direct din po siyang sumasagot.
Lahat?
Almost all. As
Okay.
far as I know, Mr. Chair.
Just to make it clear, ako ba nakita mo ako? Lumapit ba ako sa'yo?
Hindi, Mr. Chair. But I believe, Mr. Chair, parang nautusan ako before to reach out sa inyo.
Sa akin?
Pero hindi mo nyo lang po ako ata sinagot.
So hindi tayo nagkausap.
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So it is very clear that it is not I who reach out to her, but it is Miss Muking who reach out to me. May I know kung bakit?
Para ata yung i-clarify yung parang may request sa office, Mr. Chair. Ang gusto lang namin mostly kasi, Mr. Chair, pag may pumapasok na request sa office, gina-clarify po talaga namin kung what's your priority among your requests.
You mean request na mga projects?
Part of it, Mr. Chair.
You know, I've been in Congress for more than 20 years, and I don't remember requesting from your office any project. Just for the record,
Mr. Chair, I did not specifically say that it is a project, but probably because I really cannot recall anymore.
so ibig mong sabihin, kapag ikaw inuutusan to reach out to a certain congressman, it is because of a project or a request.
Hindi po lahat, Mr. Chair.
So
kasi
more other than projects and other requests, you also seek or reach out certain congressman upon the instruction of the former SAP.
yes, at that time yung
And
siya pa yung-
normally, what other reasons did the former SAP instruct you to do aside from following up request of certain congressmen?
Most of the time, Mr. Chair, mga medical assistants.
And that is very clear. Kasi ako, hindi naman ako humingi ng medical assistance sa inyo.
Yes, Mr.
Diba?
Chair.
Ay may item kayo sa LGU Davao.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Ipinahiram kayo sa OP.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
All right. Is that really possible?
Meron pong civil
Chair.
service. I
Mr.
believe
Chair.
the civil service will can
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I am yielding to Chairman Ako.
Yeah, that's possible under the civil service rule. But I do not know if it is for an extended period. What I can remember is that it is only good for 1 year, renewable.
That's right, Mr. Chair. My appointment is being renewed every 2 years. So from
pwede- Ang item niya ay sa Davao. Pinahiram siya ng Davao City Government sa Office of the President. Pero may limit yan according to the civil service law. For 2 years.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Renewable.
So every 2 years po yung renewal, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Mocking, can you please enlighten us? When there are a lot of items available in Malacanang, why do you have to resort to the secondment that your item is in Davao, that you will be discharging your work under OP? Pwede namang dun po kayo kumuha ng item sa OP.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung secondment kasi is ang position po ang mababago,
Not the item.
not the item. You will leave your item under the city government of Davao. So as soon as you assume the position under the receiving agency, so you will now be acquiring the new item that is allotted by the receiving agency. So your parent agency will take hold of your original item.
May I check para maklaro po, no?
Yes, Congressman Adjong.
So, your item, pinahiram ka sa Malacanang kasi this is what happens also in the BARM. So, I'm familiar with secondment. But you does not mean that you altogether left, di ba, your position.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Position mo pa rin sa Davao, hiniram ka rin sa Malacanang, but you're not getting salary from your original principal unit, no?
Yes, you will not be getting
Yes, you'll
the
not be
salary
getting the
from the
salary.
parent agency.
Exactly. But you are not also vacating the position, your prior position in Davao. Hiniram ka lang doon, tapos depende yun doon sa humiram sa'yo kung i-renew ka niya. Kung hindi ka niya i-renew, babalik ka doon sa Davao. Di ba tama yun?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Ganun.
Please proceed, Congresswoman Luis.
Ms. Mocking, during
Yes,
your stint in Malacanang, that is 2016 to 2022, of course, you've encountered a lot of people close or within the network of the former president. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That includes Colonel Garma. Yes, Ms. Mocking.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please enlighten us? How frequent do you actually meet with Colonel Garma during that time?
I saw her once or twice, Mr. Chair, in Malacanang.
Once
Or twice.
or twice only?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And there was no other encounter at all?
Actually, Mr. Chair, since na-appoint po si Colonel Garma sa PCSO, we have referred patients para po ma-extend yung kanilang assistance sa sa PCSO po.
So, in connection with that concern, referring patients to PCSO, do you meet and talk with Colonel Garma during that time that he was already at PCSO?
I call her Mr. Chair.
So how frequent do you talk, if I may ask? I believe that was 2018.
Once or twice, Mr. Chair, because she referred me already to one of her staff. Every time merong referral para hindi ko na po siya ma-disturb.
Prior to her appointment at PCSO, you said a while ago na once or twice mo rin na-meet si Colonel Garma
In Malacanang.
in Malacanang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please tell us what concern does Colonel Garma have during that time when you encountered her in Malacanang?
Actually, Mr. Chair, umakyat lang talaga siya doon sa office namin and marami din po, almost all of our staff, Mr. Chair, are from Davao. We're from Davao. So parang meron na din po siyang mga nakita at kakilala doon, tapos meron din pong mga nagpa-picture sa kanya kasi nga po na-appoint siya sa PCSO.
So it is just because of the appointment, the reason why she was there.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
With all due respect to the personalities that I will be mentioning, Ms. Mocking, but if you are following the investigation, there have been allegations about the reward system of the
Ye-
war on drugs. You're aware of this.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And Senator Bongo is always being implicated every time the reward system is being mentioned. You're also aware of this.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. As one of the people who work in Malacanang during the time of FPRRD, can you please enlighten us? Ano po bang nalalaman nyo dito sa reward system at ano po bang nalalaman nyo about the possible connection of Senator Bongo, if there is any?
I have no knowledge actually, Mr. Chair, about the reward system that is going on within Malacanang, Mr. Chair.
And if you have no knowledge about the reward system of the war on drugs, the more reason that you have no knowledge about Senator Bongo's implication to this reward system.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
But are you aware that there was public pronouncement already coming from another senator, Senator Bato de la Rosa, confirming that even during the time of the former president as mayor of Davao, namimigay na po ng pera si Senator Bongo. What can you say about this?
I have no knowledge of Senator Bongo releasing money po, Mr. Chair.
I understand. just for the information of the committee, Secretary, can we please flash that poster from the social media where Senator Bongo made this comment that even during the time of the former president in Malacanang, namimigay na ng pera si Senator Bongo. Nevertheless, would you know Ms. Moki?
Pwede pagkalaki. Obsec.
Oh, this is the picture of the person who received help from Senator Bongo through Ms. Moking. Can you confirm that, Ms. Moking? One of the several people you helped.
Actually, Mr. Chair, this person is one of my relatives.
So you confirm that he received help from Senator Bongo through you.
Actually, hindi po ako nagbigay sa kanya ng help, Mr. Chair.
About the senator, he's saying, thank you very much and God bless you more.
Baka, I really don't know, Mr. Chair, pero baka related po siguro sa mga services po ni Senator Bongo under his office.
All right. Secretariat, can we please flash the next slide? The one with the public pronouncement. There. Ang sabi po dito, Ms. Moking, namimigay naman talaga ng pera si Bongo. Inutusan niya ni President Duterte noon pa. Sa Davao pa kami.
I have no knowledge about that, Mr. Chair.
But can you please enlighten us at least? Ano po ba yung perang tinutukoy ni Senator Bongo dito? Would you know if this is the reward system which is being alleged in relation to the war on drugs?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair. Wala po ako, hindi po siya familiar sa akin, Mr. Chair.
Would you know if
Yung-
this is operational fund of the PNP?
Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi po kasi ako privy sa mga police operations and kaya hindi po ako familiar dito sa sinasabi na
Yes, I understand. But since you work at the office of the mayor, I'm trying to elicit information if there are chances or incidents when you encountered similar concerns. So, nung naririto po ang dating Pangulo, he was saying walang panggasolina ang mga pulis, kaya namimigay siya ng pera if my recollection is correct. Hindi po kaya itong perang tinutukoy ni Senator Bongo ay yung tinutukoy ng dating Pangulong panggasolina ng mga pulis?
actually, Mr. Chair, i-relate ko lang po ito doon sa naging question din po sa Senate hearing. Ang gasolina po na sinasabi po ni former President was yung binibigay po namin na parang PO slip para po sa mga police precinct. Parang isa din po yun sa support na binibigay ni former President.
By PO, it means purchase order,
Purchase slip.
purchase slip.
Yes.
So, bibigyan mo siya ng slip para tatakbo na lang ang pulis sa gasolinahan.
Yan po yung style doon, Mr. Chair.
And would you know, Ms. Moking, kasi napakagastos ng police operation, bukod dito sa panggasolina, ano pa po ba ang assistance na ibinibigay ng ating dating Pangulo sa police operations?
Sa Davao term ito, Mr. Chair.
Davao.
Okay. Usually, Mr. Chair, yung mga precinct commanders, gumagawa sila ng letter request addressed to the mayor.
Precinct commanders.
Yes,
Yes.
gumagawa sila
So,
ng
what is this request all about?
like support, Mr. Chair, aircon, office supplies, normally mga general services po, Mr. Chair.
General services, that's all.
Basically, yun po yung part of our tasking, Mr. Chair, na nag-a-assist po kami sa mga police and other offices po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Mocking, do you know Rizalina Hustol?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Who is she? For the enlightenment of the committee.
Sa City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair, she was our city accountant.
She used to be the chief accountant of Davao City LGU. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
When was this?
Ay, nung 2004 po na working na po ako sa City Hall, sa pagkakaalam ko po, city accountant na po si Ma'am Rizalina
O
Justo.
baka nauna pa sa'yo?
Yes, I believe.
Okay. So, I understand that similar to you, si Ms. Hustol ay nagtrabaho din sa Malacanang. Do you confirm this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ano pong trabaho niya sa Malacanang and when did she start?
I believe na una din po sa akin, Mr. Chair. So parang,
July ka na eh. June 30 lang nag-a-assume.
actually, Mr. Chair, bali, mas una, baka magkasabay. Baka magkasabay.
July 2016 also. And after some time, Ms. Mocking, would you confirm she was appointed as Commission on Audit Chairperson?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please tell us when?
I do not know, Mr. Chair. I do not know the exact date, Mr. Chair.
Can you please at least tell us the year?
2022? I really don't know, Mr. Chair.
All right. But at least you confirmed that she was appointed as COA chairperson. Given this facts, Mr. Chair, I wish to manifest that similar to Ms. Mocking, Rizalina Hustol was able to earn also utmost trust and confidence of the Duterte family, including the people close to the former president. Reason why, from being the chief accountant of Davao, he was even appointed as Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration of OP. Tama ba, Ms. Mocking?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And ultimately, she was appointed as COA chairperson, which I believe is one of the most or one of the highest possible positions one can get in the Philippine government. Ano po bang trabaho ng isang chief accountant? Let's go back to Davao.
Hindi ko po masyadong alam kung anong specific trabaho po ng city accountant, Mr. Chair.
But at least would you confirm, alam po niya lahat ng pumapasok na pera, lahat ng lumalabas na pera?
Probably, Mr. Chair.
And that includes the confidential fund of the LGU Davao.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
Ano po bang trabaho ng Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration?
I believe, Mr. Chair, is more on finance also, Mr. Chair.
So, I am inclined to believe na alam din po niya ang budget ng OP during the time of the former president and even the expenditures of the office of the president. Tama po ba?
Probably, Mr. Chair.
And of course, you understand the mandate of COA, having worked in the government for so long a time. What do you understand about the work of Rizalina Hustol in the Commission on Audit?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, hindi ko po.
But of course, you will agree with me. They check, they evaluate, they see whether the expenditures were compliant with the rules of the Commission on Audit.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
You work in Malacanang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Was there any point in time na naka-encounter po kayo ng questions, controversies, notice of disallowances ng OP during her time as COA chairperson?
Hindi po ako familiar, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Chair, I think I am done with Ms. Mocking. Thank you, Ms. Mocking.
Welcome, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luis. Just a A short clarification lang kay Ms. Muking. Ms. Muking, do you know Colonel Garma?
Professionally, Mr. Chair, yes.
And why do you say professionally? Anong difference nun sa sa trabaho lang kayo nagkikita?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So that's what professionally means.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, but outside of the profession, hindi ba kayo nagkakasama, nagkakakwentuhan?
Never, Mr. Chair.
Never. So, how did you know si Colonel Garma?
Si Colonel Garma lang po ang precinct commander sa Davao City na babae. So,
that's
hindi,
why,
so kilala talaga siya.
That's why kilala siya because
Yes,
she's the
Mr. Chair.
only...
Girl among the precinct, the 12 precinct commanders of Davao City.
Okay. So, more or less, mga ilang taon na kayo magkakilala ni Colonel Garma?
Parang, I don't know kung kailan siya napasok sa Davao City po. Nakilala ko lang talaga siya, Mr. Chair. Pasensya na po. Kasi makulit siya, Mr. Chair.
Makulit.
Opo.
Makulit dahil ikaw ba ang kinukulit?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Bakit ikaw ang kinukulit? Ito ay kasama sa professional relationship.
Yes,
ninyo.
Mr. Chair. Very professional.
So, paano kanya kinukulit, Miss Muki?
Meron kasing request, as I have mentioned earlier, yung mga precinct commander para sa support from the city government of Davao. Tapos, one of those requests is care of kay Colonel Garma, which is the repair of her office. And kasi po, di ba po, meron naman pong process ang government pag meron kang request. So you have to go through po yung sa general services, meron pa po yung purchase order, purchase request. Kinikulit niya po kami doon sa mga aircon niya na request, mga TV, and other supplies. So,
So-
kaya namin siya kilala, Mr. Chair.
So in relation to her, parang financial request yan, di ba? Funding request.
No, not funding, Mr. Chair, but office equipment and office supplies.
Yeah, but she requests your office to provide her with funds to purchase
No, item. It's an equipment.
so yung item
No,
kayo.
no cash, no
So
funds.
kayo bumibili and then you provide them with the items.
Pinoprocess po yan ng City General Services.
Granting for the sake of argument that it has already been processed, you have the item with you, that is what you provide.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
That is to answer yung kanyang request.
That's right, Mr.
So
Chair.
yun ang kanyang, kaya mo nasabing makulit siya dahil follow-up siya ng follow-up.
Hindi po humihinto, Mr. Chair.
So hindi humihinto.
Yes, Mr.
So,
Chair.
parang, the way I picture it, parang sobrang kulit niya. Tama ba yun?
Actually, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now, that is the only request, yung kanyang sa office niya.
As far as I can remember, Mr. Chair, yun lang po ang ma-recall ko kay
Did
Colonel.
she ever request from you? At ikaw lang ang kinakausap niya?
Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi naman po talaga ako lang. So,
Sino pa? Sino pa kaya ang kinakausap?
forward ko po yung staff niya sa City General Services Office para makafocus din po ako sa ibang task.
Okay. So you seem to have several tasks under the LGU, no? LGU ba yan?
Mostly administrative, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And who do you report directly? Who is your immediate superior?
The Chief of Staff, Mr. Chair.
And that is?
Actually, from 2004 to 2016, we have several Chief of Staff.
Several chief of staff.
Yes, every term po. Parang, yes.
Okay. So, lahat ba ng police precinct commander, kapag ka merong request, ay sa iyo dumadaan?
Actually, Mr. Chair, pinoprocess siya doon sa reception area namin. Tapos, parang part of my task is tagapukpok po ng mga opisina kung saan po sila may request.
Okay. Have you read the affidavit submitted by Colonel Garma to the Quad Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And doon sa kanyang affidavit, nabanggit niya na your name was implicated doon sa punto na ikaw ang nagre-release ng operational funds. Is that correct?
No, Mr. Chair.
So hindi totoong nagre-release ka ng pondo.
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So why do you think Colonel Garma would say that?
I cannot answer in behalf of Colonel Garma, Mr. Chair.
Just make a wild guess. What do you think is the reason why Colonel Garma would specifically mention your name, mention your name as the one in charge of releasing funds for the successful operation of the war on drugs? Bakit ikaw? Meron ka pang ibang kasama sa office, correct?
Guess ko lang po, Mr. Chair.
Just a guess. Sa tingin mo.
Baka gusto niya lang po akong i-connect. Kasi po, from the city government of Davao to OP. Parang ako siguro yung nakikita niyang linyada. Guess ko lang po.
Okay, so linyada kay former president.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So do you directly report to the former president?
No, Mr. Chair.
To whom do you directly report?
As I have said earlier, Mr. Chair, from 2016 to 2018, to then SAP, Senator Bongo, then from 2018 to 2022, Yusek Melchor Kitain, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so dito muna, nung ASEC ka kay SAP, former SAP, now Senator Bongo.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Can you give us, or at least educate us, ano ang iyong work sa office ng SAP? Specifically kay Senator Bongo.
As I have said earlier, Mr. Chair, it's mostly administrative, clerical, errands, social services, and mechanical works.
What about appointments?
That's part of the...
Social.
No, Mr. Chair, that's part of the admin.
So admin yun.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So halimbawa, merong gusto makipag-usap ni Congressman Adjong kay SAP Bongo, si Congressman Adjong will call you and schedule.
I believe hindi niya ako tatawagan kasi hindi niya ako kilala, Mr. Chair.
But where does a member of Congress who would like to see SAP Bongo request an appointment?
Actually, si Sap Bongo kasi, Mr. Chair, is madaling malapitan. So, lahat ata ng congressman, I believe, direct na nagtitext sa kanya and direct din po siyang sumasagot.
Lahat?
Almost all. As
Okay.
far as I know, Mr. Chair.
Just to make it clear, ako ba nakita mo ako? Lumapit ba ako sa'yo?
Hindi, Mr. Chair. But I believe, Mr. Chair, parang nautusan ako before to reach out sa inyo.
Sa akin?
Pero hindi nyo lang po ako ata sinagot.
So hindi tayo nagkausap.
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So it is very clear that it is not I who reach out to her, but it is Miss Muking who reach out to me. May I know kung bakit?
Para ata yung i-clarify yung parang may request sa office, Mr. Chair. Ang gusto lang namin mostly kasi, Mr. Chair, pag may pumapasok na request sa office, gina-clarify po talaga namin kung what's your priority among your requests.
You mean request na mga projects?
Part of it, Mr. Chair.
You know, I've been in Congress for more than 20 years, and I don't remember requesting from your office any project. Just for the record,
Mr. Chair, I did not specifically say that it is a project, but probably because I really cannot recall anymore.
so ibig mong sabihin, kapag ikaw inuutusan to reach out to a certain congressman, it is because of a project or a request.
Hindi po lahat, Mr. Chair.
So
kasi
other than projects and other requests, you also seek or reach out certain congressman upon the instruction of the former SAP.
yes, at that time yung
And
siya pa yung-
normally, what other reasons did the former SAP instruct you to do aside from following up requests of certain congressmen?
Most of the time, Mr. Chair, mga medical assistants.
And that is very clear. Kasi ako, hindi naman ako humingi ng medical assistance sa inyo.
Yes, Mr.
Diba?
Chair.
So,
Chair,
do you
Mr.
know a
Chair?
certain Peter?
Yeah, just to set the record straight,
Yes, Congressman Adjong.
para hindi ho tayo magkaliwanagan. You mean to say, Congressman, during the presidency of Digong, former President Duterte?
Yes po.
Request. When you were in Malacanang.
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
just to set the record straight, because we're talking about now the 19th Congress. Have I ever called you?
Actually, Mr. Chair, nakalimutan ko na po talaga kung sino din yung pong
Yeah,
nakakausap.
because I was not part of Congress last. This is my
Ay,
first term.
so kaya nga, Mr. Chair, I cannot recall.
Just set the record straight, ah.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, short interjection lang din po kay Miss Smoking.
O sige, okay. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kasi natanong po kanina, dahil nga napangalanan po si Miss Smoking sa affidavit ni Colonel Garma na meron daw alias Smoking na taga-disburse ng rewards under the drug war at ito po ay dinedenay ni Miss Smoking. To confirm, tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, kaso Mr. Chair, kung dinedenay po ang nasa affidavit ni Colonel Garma, pero aside po kasi kay Colonel Garma, mismo si former President Rodrigo Duterte ay meron pong pinangalan ng alias Smoking din, both sa Senado tsaka maging dito sa Quadcom, Mr. Chair, based sa questions ng mga mababatas natin in both chambers. So, Mr. Chair, ngayon po itatanong ko, based naman sa sinabi ng dating Pangulo, in-insist pa rin po ba ni Ms. Smoking na wala siyang dinidisburse na pera in relation to the drug war?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Kahit po operational expenses para sa mga pulis na nagpatupad ng drug war?
Wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Or rewards sa mga napapatay with varying degrees? Wala rin pong nilalabas na pera?
Wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Kung ganun, Mr. Chair, then given na merong directly contradicting na mga sinasabi under oath, on one hand, yung sinabi ni Colonel Garma at ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, and on the other hand, si Ms. Smoking, then Mr. Chair, merong at least isa dun sa mga tao na iyon who are lying under oath. And that demands further inquiry and questioning by legislators. Yun lang, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking my question, Congressman Manuel. But before we continue, I'd like to say that yung ating pong mga bisita ay you are now excused, Nanay and Mrs. Asuncion. And sana po sa susunod na Quadcom hearing ay makadalo pa rin kayo. Okay, maraming salamat po. Pasensya na po kayo. Inabot po tayo ng... and of course, Dr.
Actually, I have questions to Dr. Raquel Fortun, but if you're already tired, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Mukhang sanay si Dr. Fortun sa puyatan eh. So, as I was saying earlier, Ms. Muking, do you know a certain Peter Parungo?
No, Mr. Chair.
So you don't know Peter Parungo?
No, Mr. Chair.
Kasi sa affidavit ni Colonel Garma, nabasa mo naman siguro, na binanggit niya na si Peter Parungo, as she termed it, no, is the striker ng CIDG. I don't know what a striker means, but si Congressman Acop educated us as yes, or striker is actually a utility personnel ng CIDG. At siya ang inuutusan. And at one instance, lumapit daw itong si Mr. Peter Parungo kay Colonel Garma at ang sinabi niya ay, Ma'am, masyado na pong malaking pera ang pumapasok sa aking account. If I'm not mistaken, what he was trying to say is that he opened several bank accounts and that is where pumapasok yung pera na apparently ay galing sa'yo upon the instructions of either former SAP, now Senator Bongo, or the former president. So, kung hindi mo kilala si Peter Parungo, paano ka nakakapagbigay ng operational fund assistance sa ating mga kapulisan?
Hindi po ako nagbibigay ng operational fund assistance sa mga kapulisan.
Ang ibig sabihin, hindi tama yung sinabi ni former President Duterte. Dahil sinabi niya, Sa hearing niya natin dito, sinabi niya na it is through you na siya na ikaw ang inuutusan na mag-release ng operational fund or reimbursements.
Hindi po through me, Mr. Chair.
So hindi through you.
Hindi po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Sa office niyo, sino kaya?
Wala po sa office namin, Mr. Chair.
Wala
Wala po
sa
kaming
office
funds.
So hindi
Under OSAP, wala po kaming funds.
So hindi ho totoo ang sinasabi ni Mr. President.
I believe, Mr. Chair. Baka, sorry, Mr. Chair, baka merong ibang agency or, but not from us, Mr. Chair.
Ilan ba ang mooking sa Office of the President?
Ako lang po, Mr. Chair.
So isa lang, ikaw lang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Are you called by any other name? Napo ba imong lain nga angga?
Mooking lang yun, Mr.
Mooking
Chair.
lang. Okay, sige, salamat. So, I believe Congressman Keith Flores is the next interpolator. Thank you. I probably ate
Yes.
so much of your time, but this time you will have extra.
No.
Congressman Flores, you have 15 minutes.
I just have a few questions to Muking, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kasi ang what has been established is that at one point in time, Senator Bato said that there were reimbursement for operations that were made. The same was also said by the President himself, na may reimbursements silang ginawa to some operations of the police officers. And in both instances, sinasabi nila na it was through you, indirectly through you daw, to Muking, ang reimbursements na expenses na to. And since there is no other Muking, ikaw lang yung, of course, ang natural first person that would come into mind. But at the same time, it may also be na itong funds that are given for you to dispense may not have been termed as reimbursements or whatever. Pero has there anything like that happened?
Wala po talaga akong funds na ginadispense, Mr.
So
Chair.
you don't give out anything?
Never po, Mr. Chair, kasi hindi po talaga ako naging disbursing officer.
Okay. So but then why would these people say na sa'yo? Yan ang question ko eh. Kasi parang imposible naman na they'd all refer to you and at the same time, it is not you.
Ay, hindi ko po alam, Mr.
So
Chair.
walang instance na like let's say inutusan ka, bigay mo to kang ano or something like that.
Wala po.
Bayaran mo ang nagastos nila kasi they spent this much or something like that.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
But without reference to like this is the fund from the drug war, this is to reward them, nothing like that. Walang ano.
Wala po talaga,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So, in the other aspect naman, like yung your function as ASEC before and then USEC, a lot of congressmen, including myself, in the 18th Congress, have reached out to Senator BG for help, no? Lalo na nung COVID, because everyone was really in searching for funds for hospitalization because, di ba, ang nangyari nun is sarado mostly ang mga hospitals because they're converted into COVID centers and napipilitan yung mga citizens to go to private hospitals, which is expensive. And they all come to politicians like congressmen, governors, mayors for help in the medical assistance. No? And this is where usually SAP comes in. No? Parang, he helps out no? Parang in allocating some... may mga AIP na ba that time?
I believe, Mr. Chair, meron pero hindi pa po siya well-funded.
Hindi pa ganun kalaki.
That's
diba?
right, Mr. Chair.
Or the Malasakit was also started by SAP by that
Yes,
time na.
nakastart na po nun, Mr. Chair.
So, there were instances na some either politicians, governors, mayors, congressmen who would go to SBG for help. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And SBG who sometimes would also respond either directly or sometimes through you. Di ba?
Referral, Mr. Chair.
Referral,
Kasi,
like,
yes,
let's say,
kasi po hindi na po siya SAP at that time during the COVID.
Senator na.
Senator na po siya, Mr.
So,
Chair.
sabihin niyang, sagutin mo to si ano na okay na yung request or something like that.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Parang nire-refer po kayo sa amin sa OP
Yeah.
kasi po si OP po ang may funding, Mr. Chair.
Because this is the first time we met. Tama mo ba? Miss Muting?
First time we met pero
But
maraming
I've known
times
of you,
na po
di ba?
tayo nag-uusap.
Yes, we've already communicated several times in the past, no?
in the past, Mr.
While you were with the
Office of the
of the President as ASEC and USEC later on, eventually.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. But it wasn't that frequent naman, di ba, Muking?
Hindi naman po,
It was,
Mr.
I think, I followed up on some, lalo na yung FLR,
Yes, Mr.
yung for
Chair.
late release
For
na-
signature of the President.
for signature of the
Yes,
President.
Mr. Chair.
Di ba? And we were all scrambling kasi patapos na yung taon at hindi pa
Hindi pa siya
napirmahan
nalabas.
ni President at that
Opo.
time. So, you were parang siguro an important figure when it comes to the FLR at that time. Or not important. I'll rephrase that. No? Hindi naman important, but you were one of the persons na makakapag-connect with other politicians na nagfa-follow up sa FLR.
Malalaman talaga namin, Mr. Chair, kasi after po evaluation sa Office of the Executive Secretary, inaakyat po siya sa office ng OSAP para po i-prepare namin for the signature of the President. So,
May usap pa ba that time?
yes, Mr. Chair,
Sino-
until the end of the term of the
Sino nga pumalit kay SBG?
si at Yusek Melchor Kitain po.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, but parang everyone seems to be referring to SBG pa rin as parang SAP. Kasi parang nasanayan na when he was special assistant. And
Kasi
even,
he usually refers to us, Mr. Chair.
so binabato niya sa inyo.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
But under Kitain na. at the
Yes,
time.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's why a lot of parang politicians and would have had a chance to have talked to you before or something.
Yes,
or
Mr.
communicated with you man lang.
Yes, Mr. Chair, kasi lumalapit sila kay Senator Bong, tapos hindi na din po siya senator, no? Ang ginagawa ni Senator
Ay, hindi
Bong...
siya SAP. Senator na
Ay,
siya.
hindi na po siya SAP noon.
So, binabato sa inyo?
Binabato sa amin, kaya tinatawagan po namin yung nagpapatulong po.
When you say binabato sa inyo as SAP office, Special Assistant to the President Office.
OSAP po, Mr. Chair.
OSAP. But under a different secretary na.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And that is Melchor Kitain at that time.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ang ano lang talaga dito, Ms. Muking, no, I hope you understand, is the question on why your name was mentioned by the others. Yun lang na, even until now, that still remains to be unanswered in my mind, no? Parang even if you gave that explanation, hindi ko lang alam why they would, in one way or another, end up referring to you as the person who supposedly gave the reimbursement.
Given the chance, Mr. Chair, gusto ko din pong itanong po yan, Mr. Chair.
That would be good. Huh? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Muking.
Thank you, Congressman Keith Flores. The next to interpolate is Congressman Adyong. have
Thank
10
you,
minutes.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll be very, very brief with my question because, and thank you, Dr. Raquel Fortun, for staying with us this late. And sorry for holding you. I know you're about to leave na kanina, but I'm just fascinated with the line of work you do. That's why I have several questions I'd like to ask you. Is it correct, ma'am, Dr. Raquel Fortun, that you're one of the few pathologists, forensic pathologists practicing in the Philippines?
There are only two
There are only two.
formally trained. So that means you're a pathologist and then you underwent subspecialty training in forensic pathology. And the Philippine Society of Pathologists recognizes only two
Only two.
in the Philippines.
Okay. And you also teach at the College of Medicine of the University of the Philippines in Manila. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're one
Yes,
of the
Mr.
faculty.
Chair.
Yes. Are you also the current chairperson of the department?
Not anymore. I
Okay.
served my 3 terms from 2016 to June of this year. I
Yeah.
stepped down already.
But prior to, I'll go directly to the gist of my questions po, Doctora, Mr. Chair. Prior to the war on drugs, you were already a trained forensic pathologist, right? Tama po yun?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair.
And during the war on drugs, you were also involved in conducting autopsies on several of the victims. Is it correct, ma'am?
Only those who were referred to me.
Okay.
I
That's why,
managed to see
yeah.
some.
Okay, that's why I'm also interested to know because, Mr. Chair, we only have two expert no in the Philippines. I'm wondering why, Mr. Chair, our PNP has had our PNP has had I mean those cases involving EJK, have they reached out to you in trying to solicit your services in order to at least ferret out, for example, in the investigation of cases involving EJK? Wala akong nag-avail ng yung professional services ang gobyerno during the war on drugs.
The cases I saw came from families,
Okay.
lawyers, NGOs. The government actually referring, that would be rare. Although recently the Department of Justice has been sending the Bucor cases to me.
Okay, doon po sa na-examine ninyo, those families who went to you and requested for your services. Ito po yung postmortem, di ba may postmortem po na autopsy ginagawa, right?
Yeah, all of them are postmortem.
Yes.
But most, just a few of them, I could still conduct an autopsy. So that means the body is more recently dead.
Okay.
You can still do an external and
Yeah.
internal exam. But then many of my cases recently are mostly skeletal remains. These
Okay.
are the exhumations.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask po, Doktora, kasi the cases of EJK, the usual reasons that we hear from the operatives ay nanlaban, no? So the understanding really is that merong may official or operation, formal operation na gagawin, tapos ang scenario is may baril, nanlaban kaya na baril. In all of those cases that you have handled, you have conducted autopsy ng EJK, what is the common na nakikita niyo po doon sa mga examination ninyo in relation to the issue of nanlaban?
That is,
Kasi, yes, Mr. Chair, kasi gusto ko lang po malaman whether or not, kasi yung sabi niyo nga po na mostly ang investigation relies on evidence, witnesses' testimonies, and sometimes subjective. So science cannot deny. And one of the things that probably for me, it's a lost opportunity sana for the government to really find out whether there's really a parang yung rampant killings in the streets, no? At nanlaban yung sinasabi. Doon po sa mga cases niyo, what does your examination say?
as I said earlier, it's a poor excuse to kill someone, especially if you are trained. As we would expect the police to be. It's very, very unusual that the Philippine police would use nanlaban as a reason for killing. Okay? But if you would look at evidence, we'd have to go to individual cases. And as I said earlier, that is best analyzed with totality of evidence. And as my limitation is many times I only have the body that is poorly preserved, and I have very limited information on the circumstances to reconstruct. However, there are some instances where it's obvious, and earlier I said some of them have defense type injuries. That's one. I have not gone over all of the cases to come up with an analysis. I'll do that soon. But another observation is that these people sustained multiple gunshot wounds. And the head, the chest were targeted. And those shots are meant to kill. So, and rarely, I doubt if there are actually cases brought to the hospital where these victims were shot and injured. They're shot to be killed. That's one observation I can make.
Ibig sabihin po, tama po kung, for example, i-assume ko na most of the autopsies or the cases you have handled in relation to EJK, po ma'am, yung summary, yung namatay po, no, in relation to drug war, ay based on your examination, it does not reconcile with the usual na parati po natin naririnig na nanlaban based on your findings, your forensic findings.
Well, as I said again earlier, hindi naman porke nagbunot ng barel or naglabas ng barel ng isang tao, ay papatay na ang pulis. And I believe it was asked earlier, asan na itong mga barel na to? There really has to be an objective scientific investigation here. A lot is missing. Like for instance, police would say that the individual fired a gun. But where is the gun? The first thing you do when you secure it is you check if it's operational, meaning it can be fired. Okay? And the other is, you might want to check for, again, it was mentioned earlier, gunshot residues on the person. And if the police are still relying on an ancient paraffin test, that's crazy. But really, there are ways to rebut or refute a claim such as nanlaban. There are ways. If you only do an objective, scientific, independent investigation. But unfortunately, in the Philippines, the killers investigate themselves.
Well, I agree with you on that, Doktora po. No? I'm asking you this po, Dr. Fortun, Mr. Chair, because I guess you were invited to a conference or press conference years ago. Tama po ba in where you said that based po dun sa mga findings you sa remains that you examined, mga death certificates, ang sinasabi ay ang cause of death ay natural causes. But based on your investigation, parang ang result actually ay hindi siya natural death, homicide. No? Tama po ba yon? And are these cases related to the EJK or are they the EJK cases?
I'm glad that issue has been brought up because that has been my frustration. There was one autopsy case I did where it was brought to my attention that this guy had a death certificate saying he died of acute myocardial infarction. But here is the body with multiple gunshot wounds. He even had a bullet embedded in the wrist. And therefore, definitely this is not a natural death. I was asked to review death certificates to look for other cases, but I said there is nothing I can refute these death certificates with until I was asked to examine the skeletal remains of those we exhumed. And so far, I have a collection of about 14 cases. 12 of them had an outright natural cause, pneumonia, acute myocardial infarction, sepsis. But here are the bones saying they were shot multiple times. Right? One case I still am working on because the history is he was in jail for a drug-related case. And he was mauled in jail, brought to a hospital. And then the death certificate says skin infection. Okay, so that's still pending because I'm still asking for the hospital records. My most recent case is also an example of a miscertification. The doctor did not write a natural cause. However, I believe there is an understatement. Why? The doctor, who's a police medical legal officer, said gunshot wounds trunk. But I was given a picture of the decedent or the one who died taken after he was shot. And clearly in the face, the mouth is blown up. You have lacerations all over. And this is, just by looking at it, this is consistent with an intraoral shot. But it was not cited by the police doctor in the death certificate. So I would count this also as a miscertification.
Doktora, yung mga ganito po, when these cases are brought to your attention po, and there are mostly yung mga cause of death are natural death, etc. Saan po galing itong mga, sino pong nag-i-issue nitong mga death certificates na ito?
In my collection
Yes.
of cases, curiously, 5 of them were signed by one doctor from the City Health Office of Caloocan. 4 of them were from one doctor who writes her name after her name, private physician, somewhere in Commonwealth. So this is Quezon City. And then the others are a sprinkling of some doctors here and there.
So this is the time when the drug war was at its peak, no?
This would be from 2016 onwards.
It's I don't know if it's a coincidence, Mr. Chair, because the way Dr. Fortun relayed this to us, Mr. Chair, I remember before the formation of the Quadcom, we had a committee hearing ng Committee on Human Rights, and we were also asking about the cause of death, yung karamihan po sa mga namatay. And it's funny because you've mentioned about Caloocan. In this particular case that I distinctly remember, ang sabi is, nung namatay, di binarel. Tapos ang bumarel, hindi naman mga uniformed men. Ang bumarel, kung di ako nagkakamali, I think Miss Conti can correct me, no, kung hindi maganda yung pag remember ko doon sa narration nung isang pamilya nung namatay. Ang bumarel apparently is a vigilante type of killing, yung cause of bumarel. So hindi nakilala, so dinala doon sa morgue, kukunin nila. Apparently they need to pay 5,000 pesos. I don't know, kasi hindi naman namin kultura yon, but maybe because of the services that the morgue had gone through over the body, so the family needed to pay 5,000 pesos. Pero nung kinuha po nila yung katawan, ang cause of death is a pneumonia. Pero alam nilang binaril. This was in Caloocan also. And it's funny because Dr. Raquel Fortun mentioned about that same place. No? That's why I'm asking you, Doktora, based on your, kasi ang nakikita po namin dito, there's really a widespread cover-up, no, nang nangyari during the EJK. Kasi yung mga, at the height of the war on drugs, may mga cases na sinasabi apart from nanlaban, the cause of death ay iba, no, pneumonia. And here you are, Doktora, sharing us your expert opinion. And in fact, you have already undergone an actual autopsy on these cases. Would you, on your expert opinion, based on what you have handled so far, and with all the wrong cause of death as reflected in the death certificates, would you agree, Doktora, that there was a cover-up, for example, that was done during the EJK to a point that some of the agencies in our government were complicit in trying to cover the widespread killings, the violations that were committed during the time when the former president declared a war against drugs, illegal drugs?
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. A lot of people were complicit in the killings. People in government, unfortunately, people in my profession, the doctors, also non-technical people, I suspect the funeral parlors as well. And what we have actually, what's very deficient in the Philippines is we don't have a death investigation. That is lacking. And I believe when President Duterte became president, he simply took advantage of the deficiencies in our system. As I said earlier, I was seeing all these EJKs before. The police were killing, ambushing carnappers, kidnappers, And then there came the war on drugs. And they simply did the same thing, but on a wider scale.
Doktora, what happens po pag halimbawa yung mga cases na wherein based on your autopsy examination na it turned out na hindi pala yung talagang cause of death? What happens to those cases? Were there any corrections made by the by the agency, for example, or the physician who initially issued that death certificate? What was the nangyayari po doon in the case of yung mga mali yung kanilang sinusulat sa death certificate na cause ng death?
Right now, I am involved in 2 court cases. This is with the law group Ideals.
Uh-huh.
They are trying to assist the relatives to correct the death certificate. But these are just 2 cases. When we publicly came out with these findings, the miscertified causes of death, this was, first time was, I believe, April of 2022, when this first publicly came out. PNP said they will investigate. At some point, I told Secretary Remulla about this, and he said, NBI will investigate. But so far, I doubt if anything has happened.
Let me thank you, Doctora.
You have 1 minute,
yes,
Congressman
one
Adjong.
last question. One last question. Attorney Conti, involved ka ba doon sa mga cases na sinabi ni Doktora, doon sa mga miscertified cause of death na pinipresent sa kanya? And if you have cases you filed before the court, what are the status of these cases?
The NUPL is not involved in the correction of the death certificates, as mentioned by Dr. Fortun.
Yes.
It's Ideals. It's a group that works on these cases. But we do have victims under Rise Up for Life and for Rights where this has happened.
Okay.
And the correction would have to be proven in court under a Rule 108 correction. It's a special proceeding para po mabago yung death certificate kasi hindi na pwedeng gumawa ulit ng bagong death certificate. And it takes time and money. Kaya problematic po to sa ibang pamilya. Kaya yung iba, kahit mali yung death certificate dahil nailibing na, okay na rin. Kumbaga, moving forward, wala na, tapos na to. But it's helpful for the families that the correct cause of death is indicated if they intend to file. And this is what we handle, cases of murder, homicide, or crimes against humanity. Kung gusto po nilang magkaso dun sa pagpatay.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney. Now, Mr. Chair, for my last manifestation, Mr. Chair, yung pong the convenient excuse that we always hear from, with all due respect to our uniform, I have high respect for our uniform men, but for some time, because there was a state policy, to go against anybody who is either accused of selling drugs or even those who are been addicted to the illegal substance, unfortunately, karamihan din namamatay. And those cases na wrong, be at the wrong time, at the wrong place, tulad po nung kanina, yung si Britannico, yung sinasabi pong nanlaban ng mga yung mga argument nila, rason nila, it doesn't reconcile with the fact na merong mga misdeclaration or even miscertification ng cause of death. Kasi kung yun po talaga yung nangyayari, Mr. Chair, para sa akin, why do they need to make up stories? And I guess, unfortunately, in our country, we only have 2 experts to tell us really the story. Kasabi nga nila, even yung patay, may storya at pwede magsalita. And this only it would only be made possible through forensic science. And unfortunately, we do not have enough experts for us to be able to really, strengthen our justice system, because this is all part of the justice system, no? Yung pagbibigay ng hustisya doon sa mga namamatay na mga some are really killed, no? While kanina po we were listening, Doktora, when we were asking about the smuggling of illegal drugs, it's just so ironic that while we see countless victims, those people lying in the streets, lifeless, cuddled by their loved ones, by their mothers, brothers, girlfriends, sons and daughters. there were cases of importation, smuggling of illegal drugs. It's so funny and it's so ironic. It's mind-boggling. No? Tapos here we are, there's several cases of death in the streets. Tapos misdeclared pa and miscertified pa ang cause of death na pneumonia. So God bless you, Doctora, for for doing this. And I hope, Mr. Chair, part of the intention of this Quadcom is to really craft a bill and probably to look at the loopholes on how we can probably strengthen not only the policing, not only upholding the rule of law, but as well as to help out, probably invest more on forensic science so that we can upgrade at least the investigative aspect of our policing, and as well as to find out what really happened in cases where there are criminal or activities involved. So marami pong salamat, Dr. Fortune, for your time. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Attorney Conti.
So thank you, Congressman Adyong. Since there are no other interpellators, so we can now proceed with the summary of what transpired in the last 12 hearings of the Quad Committee. And at this point, I'd like to recognize Congressman Akop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pwede po bang magtanong ako muna?
Yes, you may.
Doktora, perchance, are you related to Attorney Sig Porto?
He's the brother of my husband.
Thank you. Madam Muking, sinasabi po nyo kanina, wala po kayong pera. Wala kayong pondo. Di po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Pero posibleng-posible naman na kayo'y mautusan ng may pera para magbigay ng pera.
Pardon, Mr. Chair.
Sabi po nyo kanina, walang pondo na hinawakan ka. Wala kang pondong pinamimigay. Pero posibleng-posible na ikaw ay nautusan ng may pera para magbigay ng pera sa isang tao.
Hindi po. Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Wala.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Marami pong salamat. Mr. Chair, I think I was given the hard part of our hearing tonight. Walang gustong humawak po nito eh. So, pagtiyagaan nyo na po ako. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Mula po sa opening ng pangalawang yugto o season 2, kumbaga, ng ating mga pagtatalakay dito sa Quadcom, ay narinig po natin ang mga statements given to us by our resource persons, Mr. Taguba, Mr. Guban, and Mr. Asierto. Atin din pong nasilip ang affidavit ni Mr. Las Cañas na ngayon ay witness na sa International Criminal Court. Kaya naman po, siya ay naka-embargo at hindi humarap dito sa atin sa Quadcom. Each of these individuals all carried with them intimate knowledge of the inner workings of the drug trade in the Philippines. At ano po ang similarity nila? Lahat po sila ay nagsalita at nagsiwalat ng ibang version ng war on drugs at nagdawit ng mga pangalan. At dahil dito, lahat sila ay nagdusa and they earned the ire of then former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. In the Philippines, nagsimula ang drug menace sa pag-usbong ng mga laboratory, gawaan ng droga o ang mga tinatawag na clandestine laboratories. Eventually po, narinig natin na ito ay napalitan ng business model ng pag-angkat or importation ng droga sa bansa. Malakas ang business of drug importation sa Pilipinas. Ang isa sa mga kadahilanan nito ay ang mga importer ng illegal drugs were able to skillfully exploit cracks sa ating sistema para makapasok ang droga sa ating bansa. Ang tanong, bakit parang kabisado ng mga importers na ito ang mga vulnerabilities sa ating port security? Simple lang pala ang sagot. Dahil may protection, dahil may connection. For now, I will let these headlines shown here speak for itself. Narinig po natin ng paulit-ulit at nakondisyon na rin po ang ating mga utak na galit si former President Duterte sa droga. Sabi nga po niya sa ating law enforcement, pag may sangkot sa droga, kill, kill, kill. Ngunit the link between former President Duterte and drugs begins with the testimony of two resource persons before this committee, Mr. Mark Taguba and Mr. Jimmy Guban. Ito po ang tale of two shipments, istorya ng dalawang shipment. Dalawang shipments kung saan sumabit si Mr. Taguba at Mr. Guban ay nangyari noong taong 2017 to 2018. Yan din po ang taon ng height of the war on drugs ni former President Duterte. Kapansin-pansin na kahit magkaibang shipment at ibang transaksyon ang pinag-uusapan, ang detalye ng dalawang kwentong ito ay pareho. Pareho pong bilyon-bilyon ang halaga ng syabong ipinasok. 6.4 billion in 2017 at 3.4 billion in 2018 na pareho pong nakatago sa mga gamit industrial. Metal cylinders in 2017 and magnetic lifters in 2018. Parehong pumasok sa Manila International Container Port at parehong dawit ang mga pangalan ni Honorable Paulo Duterte, Attorney Mans Carpio, and Michael Yang, anak, son-in-law, economic advisor at malapit na kaibigan ni former President Duterte. Nag-testify rin si Mr. Taguba na si Pulong o si Mans ang nagbibigay ng go signal para sa mga special containers. In short, these shipments do not go out without the go-ahead of Pulong or Mans, di umano. They allegedly control these shipments. Ito po ang mundo na napasukan ni Mr. Taguba gaya ng sinabi niya sa atin dahil gusto lang niyang magnegosyo. Kung gusto mo madali, lumapit ka sa Davao Boys. Yun po ang turo sa kanya. Yan po ang ginawa ni Mr. Taguba. Lumapit siya sa powers that be. Makikita po natin dito na baka meron ngang kailangang ayusin o baguhin sa ating mga batas dahil mukhang ang mga maliliit lamang na tao ang napapatawan ng sentensya. Ayon naman kay Mr. Guban, ang may-ari ng shipment sa kanyang kwento o ang shipment noong 2018 ay sina Mans Carpio, Pulong Duterte at Michael Yang. Naulit na naman ang mga pangalan na nabanggit ni Mr. Taguba. Ayon kay Mr. Guban, hindi niya pinangalanan ang tatlong ito sa pagdinig dati sa Senado dahil sa banta sa kanyang buhay at sa kanyang pamilya. Sino ba naman ang hindi matatakot? At dahil iba ang pinangalanan niya sa Senado, siya ay sinabit sa kaso at ngayon ay nananatiling nasa kulungan. Paano po ito nakakalusot? It's a crack in our system, a crack in the Bureau of Customs, ang TARA system. Simple lang po yung TARA system. It's grease money, lagay, given to the officials of the Bureau of Customs, among others, push them to push them into a more simple assessment of inbound goods. Halimbawa, aabutan ng 1 million pesos para hindi na ma-x-ray or buksan ng container na papasok. According to the tale of two shipments na nabuo sa testimonya ni na Mr. Taguba and Mr. Guban, ito po ang estilo ng mga illegal drug importers. Magbabayad ng pera sa mga opisyal ng BOC para mabilis na makalusot ang kanilang mga shipments. Oo nga naman, di ba? Papaano madidetect ang isang shipment of suspected dangerous drugs kung simple assessment lang, walang x-ray or kahit anong form of physical examination? Ang mga nasangkot na pangalan sa ating tale of two shipments ay dapat palang matagal nang iniimbestigahan. These were all laid bare some time ago by Eduardo Asierto, an intelligence officer, a person in hiding for 6 years now just because of his intelligence report. Nagkamali siyang pangalanan si Michael Yang. Oo, pinapapatay siya ni former President Duterte dahil sa kanyang report at dahil ginawa niya ang kanyang trabaho. At sino naman itong si Colonel Eduardo Asierto? Si Colonel Eduardo Asierto ay isang narcotics operative na nag-verify at nag-imbestiga ng mga illegal schemes na nangyayari po sa Bureau of Customs. More than the reports covering the Bureau of Customs, Colonel Eduardo Asierto prepared thorough reports which he shared with the Quad Committee on the involvement of Michael Yang, Johnson Chua, and Alan Lim in the illegal drug trade in the Philippines. Ayan po ang diagram ni Colonel Asierto kung saan makikita na si Michael Yang kasama ang kanyang mga business partners, Mr. Alan Lim and Mr. Johnson Ko, ay tatlo sa critical na bahagi ng operasyon ng droga sa ating bansa. Ayon sa diagram, si Mr. Alan Lim ang local source. Si Mr. Yang ang taga-ayos ng importation side at si Mr. Ko ang distributor. Ipinapakita rin ng slide na ito kung gaano kakomplikado at organisado ang network. Ito po ay end-to-end, kompleto from supply to distribution na may kasamang na ring money laundering operations. Itong mga personalidad na ito ay pamilyar sa atin. Ilang beses na rin lumitaw ang pangalan nila sa Quadcom. Si Alan Lim ay kilalang asawa ni Rose Nono Lim. Si Michael Yang, economic advisor of former President Duterte. And itong si Johnson Ko naman is the person known to have financed and established the infamous Dumoy Laboratory. The incident concerning the Dumoy Laboratory is where Michael Yang, as it would appear, started to build his bones in the drug trade. Matatandaan natin na ang kwento sa Dumoy Laboratory ay nagsimula mula sa 2 container vans na dumating sa Davao, which Michael Yang and a certain Panther received. Thereafter, pumunta sila sa isang warehouse na nire-rent ni Alan C. At this time, Michael Yang's involvement in dangerous drugs was just very small. His only task was to transport precursor materials necessary to create shabu. Ang role niya po niya noong circa 2004 ay ang i-transport ang precursors mula sa port to the laboratory. Ito ang napag-usapan natin sa Dumoy raid. 6 na Chinese nationals ang namatay. Base sa raid, na-discover nila na si Alan C. at si Johnson Chua ay ang mga may-ari ng warehouses at laboratories na ni-raid. Mula po sa investigasyon natin dito sa Quadcom, nalaman po natin na hindi ma-account kung ano po ang nangyari sa mahigit 10 pang naaresto ng mga Chinese sa raid na yun. Mahalaga po itong Dumoy raid na ito dahil ayon mismo kay former President Duterte, in a recent interview, inubos daw niya ang mga sangkot dito. Later on in 2005, affiliates of Alan C. were arrested and warehouses rented by Johnson Chua were discovered in the provinces of Bukidnon and Cagayan de Oro. It seems that Johnson Chua did not learn its lesson from the tragic Domoy incident because after 9 years or in 2013, may mga lumabas muli na report tungkol sa illegal activity ni Mr. Johnson Chua. And it was at this time when the close relationship of Michael Yang to then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte became public knowledge. From receiving shipments of precursors from the ports and transporting them, malayo na ang narating ni Michael Yang. He eventually managed to develop contacts in the Bureau of Customs and evolved into a facilitator of shipments of shabu. As mentioned, maagang nakita ni Colonel Acerto ang operation ng Michael Yang and Alan Lim. In fact, nireport niya ang mga findings na ito sa ilang matataas na opisyal ng gobyerno, including the then PNP chief and even to Malacanang. Ang malungkot po dito, walang nangyari sa mga reports na ito, nabaon sa limot hanggang naungkat muli dito sa Quad Committee. Bakit kaya ganon at parang hindi nilang pinansin ang isang report tungkol sa isang malaking drug lord? At this juncture, we wish to emphasize na itong si Michael Yang ay malalim ang pagkakatali sa Davao City. Isa sa kanyang kumpanya, DCLA Company Incorporated, operates the DCLA Plaza Shopping Mall na nireport din na may activities and transactions concerning illegal drugs. Huwag po nating kalimutan na sa pag-aaral ng Quadcom, DCLA also owns Paili Holdings Corporation, the holding company of Paili State, which constructed Clark Majestic World, where 2 Chinese nationals were arrested for kidnapping a Chinese and a Vietnamese national. Yan pong mga usapin na yan ay nakakabit naman sa Pogo. Si Acerto ang unang nagbanggit ng koneksyon ni Michael Yang. Pero imbis na umaksyon o mag-imbestiga pa na mas malalim, former President Duterte resorted to threatening the life of Colonel Acerto. Akala ko ba war on drugs tayo? Anong nangyari? The reports relayed to us by Colonel Acerto only support the participation of several high-ranking officials, including Senator Bato de la Rosa, Director General Aaron Aquino, Senator Bongo, Director General Wilkins Villanueva, and of course, Alan Lim, Michael Yang, Li Wenxiong, Johnson Chua, and Yan Yishu. Umabot po sa matataas na opisyal na ito ang report ni Colonel Acerto. Inuulit ko po, walang nangyari. Nariyan din po si Arturo Las Cañas, a self-confessed former original member and hitman of the Davao Death Squad and a retired police intelligence operative and investigator. Unang lumutang ang pangalan niya sa mga investigasyon noon sa Senado noong taong 2017. Una, sabi niya walang Davao Death Squad. Ngunit binago niya ang kanyang mga binitawang statements sa Senado at agarang itinuro si former President Duterte. Sa kanyang 186-page affidavit na nakita rin ng Quad Committee na kwento ni Las Cañas ang tungkol kay Mr. Duterte at mga taong lagi niyang kasama, whether it be about drugs or about kill orders. Nagtatandem po ang usapin ng droga at ang extrajudicial killings or EJK. Incidentally, in his affidavit, Las Cañas recounts the infamous Domoy Laboratory. Ibang tao ang nagsabi, ngunit pareho ang kwento nila. The most compelling point of the narration was the fact that Las Cañas and company supposedly received 500,000 pesos from former President Duterte himself after 11 Chinese nationals who were Shabu laboratory chemists and workers were killed. Maaalala po natin na inamin din ni former President Duterte na inubos niya daw ang mga ito. Bakit kaya pinapatay ni former President Duterte ang laboratory chemist and workers na isang Shabu laboratory? Is this not a story that just seems all too familiar? As early as 2004, former President Duterte had already been issuing kill orders to those involved in the drug trade. All for the purpose of what? Eliminating these people in the name of drugs or in the name of competition. Whatever the reason, patay pa rin po sila. Just like Colonel Acerto, Las Cañas also makes the connection between Michael Yang and the Domoy Laboratory. Las Cañas goes beyond the events that transpired during the raid of the Domoy Laboratory at pinapakita pa niya na si Michael Yang ang naging employer ng mga Chinese nationals working as chemists and workers in the laboratory. Las Cañas also mentions a certain Alan C., who was one of the Chinese nationals apprehended and later killed. Does this not sound familiar? This is just like the tale of two shipments, two separate yet parallel incidents tied together by the same personalities involved. Maaalala din natin na nabanggit ng isa pang resource person ang pangalan ni Michael Yang. Looks familiar. This web of connections among Michael Yang and his associates was presented by PDEA in one of our Quadcom meetings. Dito ay makikita natin ang connections ni Michael Yang with Alan Lin, Rose Nono Lin, Johnson Ko, Hong Jiang Yang, Eddie T. Yang, Willie Ong, all of whom have been the subject of our investigations before the Squad Committee, connected by corporations like Piley Holdings Corporation, Piley State Group Corporation, Golden Sun 999 Realty and Development Corporation, and more importantly, Empire 999 Realty Incorporated. Empire 999 Realty Corporation was discovered bago pa man lang binuo ang Quadcom. A corporation owning a warehouse in Mexico, Pampanga, where 560 kilos of shabu with an estimated cost of 3.6 billion pesos was discovered. The shabu entered the country through the port of Subic and was later on delivered to a warehouse owned by Empire 999. Madami at paulit-ulit na ang lumilitaw na koneksyon ni Michael Yang sa business ng droga. Pero nakapagtataka rin, sa gitna ng isang state policy called the War on Drugs, where thousands were killed, kahit sabi-sabi lang ang basis, wala pa rin nakakagalaw against Michael Yang. In contrast, naging maunlad at successful pa ang lahat ng kanyang businesses. We can all recall the Farmally scandal that made headlines nationwide. We find ourselves with Michael Yang yet again at the center of this Farmally scandal. Again, I will let these headlines speak for themselves. Key Farmally officials such as Wang Chuyen and Lincoln Ong were also quick to point fingers to Michael Yang as the financier and guarantor of the Farmally operations. The personalities we have discussed warned us very early on ang mga nasa posisyon noong 2016 hanggang 2022 ay sila mismo na nagdala at nagpalaganap ng problema ng droga sa Pilipinas. Pero ang mga warning na ito ay hindi natin narinig. They were drowned out with noise and systematically silenced and discredited. Colonel Asierto, for instance, categorically named former President Duterte, Bongo, and Bato de la Rosa as integral personalities in protecting the illegal drugs network in the Philippines. Worse, they serve as key figures in ensuring that large volumes of illegal drugs slip right through our borders. Asan ngayon si Colonel Asierto? Nagtatago dahil gusto siyang patayin ng ating former president. Incidentally, these are the people whose hands are on the purse and the sword of the Republic, and they have deftly used it. It is most unfortunate, however, that the sword was used to slit, stab, and slash the very people it swore to protect. We, the people. And the purse was used not to benefit the Republic, but to line the pockets of the few. Nilunod po nila ang bayan natin ng droga at kumita sila dahil dito. Isa sa mga right-hand man ni former President Duterte, sang-ayon kay Colonel Asierto, he branded former President Duterte as the Lord of all drug lords. Napakasakit po dahil Pidigong won on the platform of a hardline stance against illegal drugs and criminality. Siya pala ang mukha ng illegal drugs at kriminalidad. Colonel Asierto, Mr. Jimmy Guban, Mr. Las Cañas, and Mr. Taguba have all bared their stories before the Squadcom, and it is through our combined efforts, through their stories, and our interpellations where we discovered common personalities that seem to just be consistently present in all the narratives. But what do we make of the war on drugs? Konting silip para sa ating mga kababayan. Mukhang ang war on drugs was a convenient way to eliminate competition in the drug trade. More specifically, the local manufacturers. Let us remember, ang key feature ng war on drugs ay ang reward system. Every kill is compensated, and the bigger the catch, the higher the video. Colonel Espinido even adds that awards could go as high as 100,000, and that the system at that time was known to all policemen. It was such a strong but perverse incentive to play along with the war on drugs. The existence of the reward system is not denied. In fact, ipinagmayabang pa ito ni former President Duterte at ang kanyang mga alipores. This reward system has long since existed in Davao and was transposed in the national scale noong taong 2016. Evidently, this reward system caused the systematic killing of operators of drug laboratories and chemists and those distributors who source their product from these local manufacturers. Ano po ang benefit? Open season na po for drug importers. Ang masama, isa itong naging ugat ng extrajudicial killing. Huwag po nating kalilimutan na napakarami ang namatay sa war on drugs. 30,000 ayon po sa datos. Narinig po natin ang mga pamilya ng mga naging biktima ng war on drugs. Marami sa kanila, ayon kay former President Duterte, ay collateral damages. Shit happens, ayon kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Ladies and gentlemen, the Quad Committee has started to uncover a grand criminal enterprise And it would seem that at the center of it is the former president. Napakasakit po nito dahil tayo pong lahat ay nabudol. Mahirap po ang trabaho natin dito sa Quadcom. Walang gustong pumalag sa sistema. Walang gustong bumangga sa isang popular na dating presidente. Pero kami po, tulad niya ay halal ng taong bayan. Kaya ipagpapatuloy po natin ang ating inquiry at sisiguraduhin po naming ayusin ang ating mga batas upang masiguro na hindi na mauulit ang mga kaganapang ating natuklasan. Sa darating na taon at sa mga susunod na Quadcom hearings, tatalakayin po natin ng mas malalim ang usapin ukol sa droga dahil sang-ayon naman po tayo, salot po ito sa lipunan. We will leave no stone unturned. Maraming salamat po at magkita-kita po ulit tayo sa susunod na taon. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you, Congressman Acop. That was quite a comprehensive report. Ayan po ay produkto ng 12 hearings ng Quadcom. At ito po ay pinilit namin na i-report. Nang sa ganun ay i-report po ito sa plenaryo. And if given the imprimatur of the plenary, we will report this to the people. So with that, before we finally close, may we recognize first Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is all about admin matters before we close. And Mr. Chairman, can I ask Major Laraga? Major Laraga.
Si Major
Please.
Laraga, nandito po
Yeah,
ba si
please
Major
take your
Laraga?
seat. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, before I proceed with Major Laraga, to retired General Wilkins, General, just to remind you of your right to file a motion in this Quad Committee. You can file it yesterday or tomorrow or onwards. Now, with regards to the letter of former Deputy Ombudsman Arthur Canandang on his role during his stint as Deputy Ombudsman and was mentioned by former Senator Trillanes. Mr. Chairman, we will just discuss this in the next hearing and we will invite former Senator Trillanes with regards to this.
Yes, Congressman Paduano. That's
Thank you.
noted.
Now, in the case of Cassandra Ong, let me announce to the members of this committee that a motion to lift contempt and detention order was filed by Cassandra Ong, and on the basis of medical condition, she is sick, she is currently detained at the Correctional Institution for Women, and the doctors of the CIW and the House of Representatives confirmed that he is not fit to attend and withstand the congressional hearings. With this, Mr. Chairman, I move that we lift the contempt order for Ms. Cassandra Ong. So move.
There is a motion to lift the contempt order of Ms. Cassandra Leong, and this was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. COMSEC, please communicate with the CIW and to the lawyers of Ms. Cassandra Leong of the decision of the Quad Committee. Please proceed, Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next is the motion to lift the contempt and detention order for Mr. Tony Yang. He is now detained under the custody of the PAOK, and for the fact that there is a pending case that was filed by the BID for Mr. Tony Yang, and his medical condition as of now is sick, currently confined at the St. Luke's Hospital in Taguig with a doctor's certificate, Mr. Chairman. With this, Mr. Chairman, I move to lift the contempt order for Mr. Tony Yang.
Second.
There is a motion to lift the contempt order of Mr. Tony Yang, duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. COMSEC, please coordinate with the lawyers of Mr. Tony Yang as well as his doctors. Please proceed, Congressman Paduano.
Let me proceed, Mr. Chairman, in the case of Miss Alice Go alias Agua Ping alias Alice Go. He is now detained by virtue of the court order in connection with the criminal case filed against her. And of course, a contempt order was also issued by this House, Mr. Chairman. With that, Mr. Chairman, since Alice Go is now detained by virtue of the court order, I move that we lift the contempt order for Miss Go Ping alias Alice Go. So move, Mr. Chairman.
There is a motion to lift the contempt order of Miss Go Ping, also known as Alice Go, who is now presently incarcerated at the Pasig City Jail. This motion was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Comsec, please coordinate with the lawyers as well as the Pasig City Jail. Please continue,
Thank you,
Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Paduano.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, to the motion to lift the contempt order for Major Leo Raraga. Before I move, Mr. Chairman, I just like to remind Major Leo Raraga and of course to the other resource persons and witnesses being invited in this committee, because in your case you filed a Supreme Court certiorari, no? Motion for certiorari in the Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
But alam mo naman po, well, in fact, kayo have talked to the COMSEC. Pag hindi po namin nilift yung contempt order for you, alam mo, baka buwan ka makakulong.
Yes, sir.
Until such time that the Supreme Court will decide for it.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the spirit of Christmas, Mr. Chairman, just to remind you, and you should talk to your lawyer in
Yes,
regards
sir.
to that.
Yes, sir.
So,
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to make manifestation when it comes to the certiorari
With the
file.
indulgence of Congressman
Yeah, with
Paduano.
the indulgence of that would be. I have here my lawyer friends, and it's contradictory. He's asking us to lift the contempt order while he's filing a Supreme Court questioning the mandate and the powers and the authority of the Quadcom. How can that be reconciled?
Well,
Mr. Chair.
earlier there was the same question that was raised to Major Laraga, and we asked him to confer with his lawyers with respect to the certiorari that he filed before the Supreme Court. Now, sabi nga ni Congressman Paduano, kapag hinintay natin ang desisyon ng Supreme Court dyan, kahit na tayo ay willing naman na desisyon na
Yes,
ng
willing
kanyang
naman
contempt
tayo.
order, then therefore, he will have to wait and be detained until kingdom come. Now that we are on the verge of lifting the contempt order, perhaps the issue would become moot because hindi na po siya nakadetain. What is the pleasure
Well,
of...
I'm just
Congressman?
citing. I'm not objecting to that motion. I'm just putting that into record because we have a resource person who has been cited in contempt for a violation of our Section 11, and he's challenging that, the very power that we had, the contempt power, and he's challenging that before Supreme Court. So now he's asking the same committee who has cited him in contempt, questioning that power to contempt before the Supreme Court. So to me, Mr. Chair, it's something that is irreconcilable. But then again, I'm just putting that into record because we might face another in the future, another predicament. And this might serve as a lesson, advice
we will
to
welcome
Major-
anyone who will go up to the Supreme Court and challenge the decision of the committee. And that is their right. And we will respect that. Now, with respect to the issue at hand, on the case of Major Laraga, I would like to ask Congressman Paduano for his action.
Mr. Chairman, once again, I just like to inform everyone that I have talked to Major Laraga a few hours ago, and he apologized for it, for filing a certiorari in the Supreme Court, and I explained to him because there are a lot of cases na dito sa House po na pareho rin sa sitwasyon mo. So that's why Sabi ko nga sa kanya, you better talk to your lawyer kasi po, a lot of contempt orders was already issued here and some of them filed in the Supreme Court. Wala po. Question of due process, pinapadaan po namin dito sa due process. Well, in fact, even in the case kanina ni General Wilkins, nag-warn ako, binigyan ko pa siya ng pagkakataon na baguhin niya yung previous statement, wala. So that's why I moved to cite him in contempt. Now, Major Larga, so in the spirit of Christmas, Mr. Chairman, I move to lift the contempt order for Major Leo Larga.
With
So move.
emphasis on in the spirit of Christmas, because that issue was already raised earlier. And we asked Major Laraga to confer with his lawyers. And I believe that he has already decided to, upon the advice of his lawyers, to probably withdraw the certiorari. But absent that, and independent on the decision of the court on that certiorari, the chair and the committee would follow the motion of Congressman Paduano. And the motion is, there is a motion to lift the contempt order imposed on Major Laraga.
I second, Mr. Chair.
And this was seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none. Again, are there any objections? Hearing none. That only means that the motion is carried. So the contempt order is now lifted. Comsec, please coordinate with SAA. And saan ka ba nakadetain? Sa Quezon City Jail, no?
Yes, sir. Quezon City Jail, sir.
And Quezon City Jail. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just to update everyone, sa case po ni Colonel Grijaldo, until now po is on process, nasa hospital pa rin. And anyway, if we want to have a meeting, we can do it though by next week or even during the break with regards to the position of this honorable committee to Major Colonel Grijaldo.
Yes, that is true.
But-
And the plenary has given the committees power to conduct hearings even during breaks. So, conducting another hearing via online or via Zoom is possible with the Quad Committee.
Yeah, but to inform everyone that the contempt order was already received and signed by Colonel Grijaldo, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I would like to announce to the members after this suspension, we will turn over one of the fugitive, no, is a police staff sergeant that surrenders to the Quadcom. Mamaya po, we will turn over to the NBI after this the suspension of this hearing.
A fugitive?
Yeah, fugitive staff sergeant with a warrant of arrest, and he surrendered. No, certain Staff Sergeant Jerry's Jordan, formerly assigned Station 11 QCPD. So NBI, okay na po ba? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, NBI. Thank you.
So, where is Mr. Jordan?
Nasa holding room.
And he will be turned over to the NBI.
Yes, Chairman.
So he surrendered. He asked Quadcom to turn him over to the NBI.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it was facilitated by friends from the PNP, and he's just asking that he will be in the custody of the NBI while the case is ongoing. So I talked to the NBI, Mr. Chairman, a few hours ago, and they allow us to turn over the former Staff Sergeant Jerry's Jordan.
But just to put it on record that you were not cuddling a fugitive.
No, nag-surrender po sa atin because of the trust of that person to the Quadcom.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Paduano. Since there are no other matters to be discussed, I'd like to thank all our resource persons and ask for your patience for having or asking you to stay until this late hour of the evening. So I do hope that in the next Quadcom hearings, if ever you will be invited, please attend and cooperate with the Quad. Para po ito sa bayan. So maraming salamat, and our Senior Deputy Speaker will deliver his closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this is my final word for the year 2024. During our first hearing, we convened in Bacolor, Pampanga, up to now. And this is the summation and the fruit of what Congressman Akop delivered, showed to the screen. And I would like to thank my fellow congresspersons, the members of this 19th Congress. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-attend na itong napaka-importanting hearing. And of course, the four chairperson of this committee headed by our senior chair, Kong Ace, Kong Dan, Kong Benny, and of course, Kong Karaps, and our Vice Chair, overall Vice Chair, Kong Romy Akop. And I would like also to thank all the resource persons who cooperate in this hearing na nangyari po dito sa ating Quadcom. And I would like to thank our viewers, almost 1 million viewers from this morning, from different platform. Nagtiyaga po kayo, nasa abroad po kayo, saan man kayo. Maraming salamat po. Kung may problema po kayo, isumbong nyo sa Quadcom.
Bago yun.
Bago yun.
Okay.
Well, anyway, maraming salamat po. On behalf of our Speaker Martin Romualdez, and the entire House of Representatives, the Secretariat, all the COMSEC, and down the line, I would like to express my gratitude. At sa inyo pong lahat, maraming salamat. Magkita-kita po tayo para sa bagong teleserye. Christmas.
Merry Christmas
so,
po sa
sa inyo
lahat.
po lahat, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I think sana magiging fruitful at peaceful ang ating 2025. From the bottom of our hearts, wishing you a Merry Christmas.
Is there any
And a
motion?
Happy New Year. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat, SDS. Is there any motion?
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Akop?
since there are no more issues to be tackled, I respectfully move that we suspend the hearing of this committee.
There is a motion to suspend this committee hearing, duly seconded, and hearing no objection. The motion is carried. The committee hearing is hereby suspended. Merry Christmas po sa lahat.